So you're getting a VA or a FHA loan, and you keep hearing that your offer won't be accepted because sellers won't accept a VA or FHA loan, and you're wondering why that is. We're gonna get after that right now and what you can do about it. So you keep hearing that you can't get your offer accepted if you're a VA financed or FHA financed buyer, and you're worried about getting your offer accepted and what you're gonna do about it. This video is all about why that is and how to get around those issues. Before we dive in, my name is Curtis Chism, and I am a local real estate agent helping people buy and sell homes, and I would absolutely love to help you. I get reach outs all the time from folks just like you looking to buy or sell a home. Reach out via phone, text, or email. Let's have a conversation about how we can help you get into a home. No matter what kind of buyer you are, if you're FHA, VA, conventional, cash, I'm here to help you. Now, let's dive into why do offers not get accepted when you're purchasing with a VA or FHA loan. So real quick, of course, VA is Veterans Administration and FHA is the Federal Housing Administration. The FHA is a true first-time homebuyer loan. The VA can be used multiple times depending on the situation. So both excellent loan programs. The VA allows for 0% down. Depending on your level of disability, you actually can get your funding fee waived with the VA, and the FHA is 3.5% down, does carry mortgage insurance. The VA loan does not. So absolutely fantastic loan programs. If you're qualifying for one of those, then certainly it's a great option. All right, so why do VA or FHA offers typically not get accepted? So there really are kind of three primary reasons why, but really two that are the most important. So one is that when you're getting an appraisal done for FHA or VA, they tend to be more stringent on what they're looking for. They are really making sure that the home is in livable condition. So the appraisers tend to be more strict because there are stricter guidelines for VA and FHA loans. So more repairs might be required when you are getting an appraisal done. So there's a home inspection that's done, that's paid for you by you, the buyer. You get a home inspector in there and they go through and check everything and tell you what's wrong with the house or what's right with the house. Then you have the appraisal, and those are two separate things. The home inspector is for your peace of mind, making sure you're buying a quality home. The appraisal is ordered by the lender and it is paid for by you, the buyer. And that is a third party's opinion of what the home's value is worth. And they are checking to make sure that the home is in livable condition. So they're certainly making sure that there's flooring in place. For instance, sometimes with conventional loans, you don't actually have to have flooring in place, but with VA and conventionally do. So VA and FHA, you definitely do. So they're gonna be looking for things that might have to be repaired. You know, this door is broken. You gotta fix the door. The paint is chipping on the home. That has to be repaired. That's actually a requirement. Any sort of exposed bare wood has to be painted. So more things can come up during the appraisal inspection process that have to be taken care of. Now, unless this was actually negotiated up front with the offer, it does not mean that the seller is obligated to fix those things, but they have to be fixed before you close escrow. So either the seller has to pay for it or the buyer has to pay for it. And oftentimes with VA and FHA loans, typically you don't have a whole lot of extra cash to come up with these things, so the seller tends to get stuck fixing those things. So that is one reason why sellers might balk at accepting a VA or FHA offer when they're comparing it to a conventional offer or a cash offer. So that's reason number one. The second reason is going to be related to the appraisal again. So we just covered the appraisal, and there is a VA FHA, a mandatory clause that gets put into every contract. And basically it says the VA and the FHA will not lend more than the appraised value. Now, it's really no different than a typical lender. A lender, even on a conventional loan, is not going to lend more than the appraised value. But there is a form that it gets stuck into the contracts that specifically says the VA and FHA will not lend over the appraised value. That really freaks out sellers, and they do not like to sign that. Even if you're signing an appraisal contingency waiver saying you'll come out of pocket for the difference, they still don't like to sign it. I just got a call the other day from a listing agent, experienced agent, and she was concerned because the seller did not want to sign this document. We've already waived all contingencies, inspection, appraisal, loan contingency. We're about to close. That just didn't get signed. Now it has to be signed. The sellers want to sign it because he thinks it's not going to, he's going to have to take less money, except the house actually appraised at the correct value, at the purchase price. We're good, but it freaked him out. So even at that late stage in the game, it still scared the seller. Even though we're cleared to close, we're ready to go. So that's another reason, is because lenders are going to say like, oh, I have to come down to whatever the appraised value of the house is. Now, in hot markets, oftentimes homes are selling for well above list price, and the home may not appraise at the actual purchase price. In other words, if the home is $600,000, you offered $675,000, and the home appraises for $625,000, then potentially the home would have to sell for $625,000. Unless you said you'd cover that difference, $50,000, then you're covering that difference. But sellers don't know that. So that's the big reason why they won't accept it. And finally, the third reason comes back to inspections and repairs. And that is the termite clearance, or Section 1 clearance. And that has to do with basically anything related to termites or dry rot and mold and fungus in wood. So it's called termite clearance or Section 1 clearance. You're gonna hear these terms. And again, there is language that makes it seem as if the seller has to pay for any Section 1 clearance repairs, termite repairs, which can be costly, right? That can be $1,000, it could be $8,000 to $10,000 depending on what's going on, especially if you have to replace a lot of fascia boards or doors or tent the whole home and fumigate. So sellers don't want to pay for that. This is a common misconception amongst most listing agents and a lot of sellers. Here's what is actually true. In a VA or FHA loan, a termite inspection has to be performed. It has to be performed, and those repairs have to be done. So yes, if there's any Section 1 termite work found, it has to be taken care of, but it does not have to be paid for by the seller. It can be paid for by the buyer. It also can potentially, if the deal's about to fall apart, agents can get involved and also credit funds back as well to help cover these things. It does not have to be paid by the seller. Now, in a softer market, a more balanced market, typically those repairs will be asked for by the buyer up front in the offer so that when they come up, then they're taken care of by the seller. However, in hotter markets, typically they're not asked for and the buyer ends up paying for them, or they're negotiated as part of an overall inspection and repair negotiation. However, that's the big thing, is that sellers think they're gonna have to pay for it, but they don't technically have to. So those are just some clarifying things that are really misconceptions that sellers think they're gonna be on the hook. So they think that they're gonna have to come out of pocket for all kinds of repairs for appraisers that they call out that may not be termite related. They think they're gonna have to pay for all the termite repairs, and they think that if the home goes over the list price and it appraises for less, that they have to sell the house for the appraised value. None of those things are actually true. They are just big misconceptions. And finally, there's actually a bonus thing. There's a kind of a fourth reason why sellers don't like to accept cash offers. And this is because they're low down payment loans, 0%, 3.5%, then they feel like you don't have a lot of cash to close the deal. And sellers like to see large down payments when buying a home. So people coming in with conventional loans at 20%, 25% typically, then they like that. They feel like if something comes up, then the buyer is in a better position to close on the loan. That sounds great in theory, and okay, in some ways I like that as a listing agent too. However, I look at the buyer's financial credibility. I talk with the lenders. If I'm the listing agent, I find out, are they solid? Can they close the loan? At the end of the day, it's about, is that buyer qualified to close on the deal? If they're qualified to close and they're solid, then, and they have a good offer, then it's certainly worth considering and accepting. It's all about, for the seller, ultimately getting the highest amount of purchase price for their home and closing on that loan. As soon as the home is sold, it doesn't matter what happens if that buyer ends up defaulting down the road because maybe they didn't have a lot of money. But that's another reason why sellers sometimes don't like to accept an offer. So those are all the reasons why sellers may not accept a VA or FHA offer, but with a good buyer's agent who can explain these things to the listing agent and clarify them and explain, hey, these costs don't have to be covered by the seller, we can get your offer accepted. If you're looking to buy with an FHA or VA loan, please reach out to me and my team. We would absolutely love to help you work through the process and get you into home. Until the next video, we'll see you next time.